Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a good Friday night. My life's real exciting on a Friday night. We are getting ready to head to Middle Tennessee for my daughter's state band competition this weekend. So I wanted to go ahead and get this video done tonight and get it posted. So this week we're talking about ethics in technology, and this is your e-news report. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was Facebook privacy issues. I know that y'all have heard a lot about Facebook in the past year, and I thought it was a topic that everybody probably has heard of, and most people have a Facebook account, so it probably affects you. But Facebook has faced scrutiny over privacy issues for a long time. But earlier this year, Mark Zuckerberg had to sit before Congress to answer for some privacy issues. This one was with Cambridge Analytica, which is a political consultant company, and they improperly accessed 87 million Facebook users' information. And he confirmed that his own data had even been accessed. And he has said that they're investigating all apps that are able to access user data and put restrictions on the data apps. And there's a tool available to see which apps have access to your data, and you can revoke access at any time. And so my biggest tip for everybody is to actually go into your privacy settings on Facebook. Look and see what apps you have given access to your Facebook. I know sometimes when you download a new app, it'll ask you to create an account, and a lot of times you'll say sign in with my Facebook account. So those companies do have access to some of your Facebook information. So double check and make sure you really want them to have access to that information. And if not, you need to uncheck those boxes. The second ethical issue that I ran into, I actually found this article on Wired. And it was talking about ransomware. And I know we've heard and we've seen on TV shows and all these kind of things about ransomware where it pops up on your computer and says, if you don't pay so much money, we're going to delete all your files and you're never going to have access to them. Well, for somebody like me, I would be in a tough spot with school, but it's really not going to be the end of my world. But the article that I found talked about how hospitals are a big target. And that is because number one, the information that they have in their online system, in their servers, those are things that they have to continue with patient care. So they have to have medications that people are on, their medical history, their allergies, all those kinds of things, besides even being able to access like x-rays and blood work and things like that. So all those things are on a server, and if somebody locks their server down and they can't access those files, that's a major, like, it puts their business on a standstill and it risks patient care. People could die because these files are all tied up. And so the people who are doing this ransomware, they know this, and they also know that at hospitals, they're mainly concerned with HIPAA violations and making sure that patients' privacy is maintained, but they're not as concerned with cybersecurity. Everybody doesn't get that kind of training. I mean, they're there to help patients. They're not there to be technology experts. And so the people who have this ransomware, they know this. There was actually a few hospitals that have been hacked into. Some of them paid the ransom that they were asked to pay. Others had data on the backup servers, and they were able to restore their data without having any of that. One thing that these hospitals can do to prevent users from downloading ransomware, a lot of times it's an email with a malicious attachment, and it'll download onto the user's computer. It can also be downloaded from ads on certain websites. So organizations can they can prevent their employees from using certain websites. They can also do some training about phishing scams and phishing emails so that people understand not to click on those attachments and not to open those attachments. And one thing that ETSU recently did in an effort to kind of help with phishing scams and things like that was to add the word external to any emails that originated outside of ETSU, because we had a lot of emails coming in that say my email would say it was from Dr. Tweed, but if you looked at the email address, it would actually be from something really crazy. It wouldn't have anything to do with ETSU. But a lot of people don't look at the email address, they looked at the name, and they would be like, oh, I know that person, click, and they would open it up, and it would cause all kinds of crazy viruses to happen on computers on campus. So this is a way to maybe prevent some of that. Another thing that they could do would be to break up their files into multiple servers instead of just one. And that way, if they get attacked, they can shut down some of the others before they get attacked, and then it doesn't affect everybody. They can maybe do backups on those smaller servers. So that I thought that was a really interesting article. I had never really thought of it in that way. As far as financial aid is concerned, and university, we would kind of be, I mean, we're in the same boat. We're not looking at life or death here, but, not having access to student data, we wouldn't be able to do our jobs. We wouldn't be able to give people money to go to school. And so I think that's really scary to know that people do that. And then the last thing, the third one that I found, I thought was very interesting. It doesn't have anything to do with education. But it is medical device hacking. And this is actually something that happened very recently, like last month. And there were cyber attacks on medical devices, and it can risk the lives of patients. The most recent case that I found on this was Medtronic, which is a company that creates pacemakers. And they discovered that there were bugs in their devices that could allow hackers to remotely change the settings on these cardiac implants in patients. And so the FDA stepped in, and then the company issued warnings to their patients. They stopped internet updates until they can find a patch to put in place to fix these issues. And so that's very scary to think that some random person can just hack into a pacemaker and affect somebody's ability to have their heart regulated. That's just really scary. And so the FDA actually has new initiatives in place to help healthcare organizations respond to cyber attacks like this, and they're working with the Department of Homeland Security on this matter. I just think that a lot of times, and reading the article, it looks like that, a lot of medical device places, they're so focused on the technology and how can they make things better for their patients, and how can they be the next best device, that sometimes they don't think about the fact that since it is a new technology every time, that maybe they need to take a little extra money and pay somebody to run these checks on these different devices and see, is there a way to hack into them? Are there weaknesses in these technologies that can be accessed by hackers? And I think it would be important for companies to maybe take that into consideration and start adding that piece into their research and development, like checking for those kind of things. Can it be hacked? Can it be tapped into and adjusted? And I know that two of these were about patients, but I just thought they were super interesting. And I really was surprised to see that there are a lot of technology things in the ethics world that can happen in healthcare. But I really hope that you all enjoyed this, and I hope you got a little bit information out of it that you didn't know before. And I hope you all have a great weekend.